gotta get something going here. Gotta get something going real quick before we go. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start it like that. Time. What up, Seahawks? You know what we came to do, right? We gotta make it official. Yeah. This is history in the making. Watch time catapult, the ceiling is for the taking. The hard part is done, we done weighed all the averages. Now this be the season of checks and the balances. Yeah, this is history in the making. Watch time catapult, the ceiling is for the taking. The hard part is done, we done weighed all the averages. Now this be the season of checks and the balances. All my life I've been fighting to be the best. They say it ain't real unless you say it with your chest. Through all of my troubles and trials, I kept pushing like the little engine that could and buried my smile. We built a whole movement, left a trail of consistency. Breadcrumbs to follow, every step was deliberately. When you add it up, you see zeros in the making. Put the one in front of that. This ain't donuts that we baking. Album fresh out the oven, I hit Seahawks for a feature. He told me he was done with his two. We dropped record after record, two pillars, carrying different perspectives. Like the view from the moon to the earth with a directive. Blueprint in the bars, every sentence got a message. Calculated steps, no guessing in the method. Gravity pushing force, that's physics in motion. Stayed afloat when the waves try to pull me into the ocean. My independent grind, had to learn how to pivot. Stay connected like a rivet, I reinvented the vision. From basement to stages, we stacking up the proof. We told you with Boss T that we gotta tell the truth. This is history in the making. Watch time catapult, the ceiling is for the taking. The hard part is done, we done weighed all the averages. Now this be the season of checks and the balances. Yeah, this is history in the making. Watch time catapult, the ceiling is for the taking. The hard part is done, we done weighed all the averages. Now this be the season of checks and the balances.
We talking checks and balance, we put here to show you that talent. Paper we stacking, we the truth with this rapping. Love to spend that money, I'ma spoil my fame, I give a helping hand. This history in the making, big cash we chasing. I'm the creator from the basement that kept saying, it's not my time, just keep up your grind. Y'all not understanding these streams, plus we create high content on your screen. My discography mean, we ain't getting no bands, this ain't adding up. These platforms will gas you up, we charge a fee. They ask for us, we cost big bucks. Spend about this bread, keep your family fed. Y'all capping don't deserve the bread. We the ones called fire, y'all ain't putting us out. Label having doubts, this history in the making. We gon' make it count, time to cash us out. I'm on the paper route, from NY, they know for getting plenty money down south.
This is history in the making. Watch time catapult, the ceiling is for the taking. The hard part is done, we done weighed all the averages. Now this be the season of checks and the balances. Yeah, this is history in the making. Watch time catapult, the ceiling is for the taking. The hard part is done, we done weighed all the averages. Now this be the season of checks and the balances. Yo. Yo, what up? It's your boy Timeout, aka T Matrix, y'all. Back again for another one, man. I'm telling you, man. I started off with that song Checks and Balances for a reason, man. I know y'all see the name, the title of this live, right? You see the name and the title, right? We talking about intellect. We talking about the different types of intellect. We talking about true intellect and acceptable intellect, right? I might have misspelled it. I don't know if I misspelled it or not. My spell corrector wasn't on. Anyway, but we talking about true intellect and acceptable intellect. That's what the conversation was. So while
I wait for some more people to jump in, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna run another. Let me see. What can I do? I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna run a song. I'm gonna run a song because you know I ended off. I said I told you with Boss T that we gotta tell the truth. So why are we doing that? I might as well go ahead and play that joint right there. You know what I'm saying? So let's go here. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Right here, bam. There it is right here. We gonna go ahead and play this real quick. And then once we play this, then we gonna go ahead and start the live. So it might be a commercial, I don't know.
Boss T. I live a life that is predicated on doing better. I took the good with the bad and made them work together. So every dollar that I lost was just a learning lesson. And now the money's full circle, I done earned my blessing. I told God before he called me home, give me a chance to show the world what they've been waiting on. I'm battle tested with unlimited balls and a catalog long enough to stretch from the street to the stars. It's unfortunate, you probably never seen it beyond, cause I refuse to take a deal over cutting my lawn. I got the house and the car, full side with a bar, 5 kids, 1 wife, and money coming in tomorrow. I'm straight. The only thing that's missing is when you listen to niggas that ain't got a pot to piss in. Never let nobody tell you how you need to make it, cause 9 out of 10 ain't no value in they statements.
Boss. Man, you better do you. Recognize your worth, nigga, this is living proof. Man, I ain't got a lie, dog, I'ma tell the truth. On the road to success, make your journey bulletproof. I'ma do me, man, you better do you. Yeah. Recognize your worth, nigga, this is living proof. Man, I ain't got a lie, dog, I'ma tell the truth. On the road to success, make your journey bulletproof. Make your journey bulletproof.
I'ma do me to the end. It's a war we up against. Real spitter setting trends. This where the credit story begins. I got a catalog by the bundle. You can tell I hustle. Turn up my jam. I've been on the road to be successful. This passion with love. This music we place nothing above. Still giving our all. God answering our calls. I'm saying prayers to the Lord. Most wanna hate when you get on. I'm making cheese like Parmesan. You could tell me nothing. This music I'm something. I know most wondering who we are. We spitting the real, stepping our field, going for the kill. With this music, I keep it trill, do it with feeling. There's pain we put in, this how I'm living. We stand on business. We stand on business.
I'ma do me, man, you better do you. Recognize your worth, nigga, this is living proof. Man, I ain't got a lie, dog, I'ma tell the truth. On the road to success, make your journey bulletproof. I'ma do me, man, you better do you. Recognize your worth, nigga, this is living proof. Man, I ain't got a lie, dog, I'ma tell the truth. On the road to success, make your journey bulletproof. Make your journey bulletproof.
I never been the one to fake, I always kept it real. See, that's the type of thing that niggas seldom fail to keep. My partner said if you ain't making money in your sleep, the sky's the limit, you should further everything in reach. I saw the vision and I made it plain. Wrote out a plan to put myself inside the biggest game. Although a lot of niggas only come to entertain, this is my life. On every beat I put it all on the cover plane. I do it for the love of the art, the moment where words jump out my mind and paint a picture on the beat. The pen strokes, they glide over rhythm, producing imagery, 4K in symmetry where gladiators compete. I learned a lot over the years, most of it coming from peers that I connected with out on the street. How to build and destroy, regain and deploy, versus for competitions to keep bringing the heat.
I'ma do me, man, you better do you. Recognize your worth, nigga, this is living proof. Man, I ain't got a lie, dog, I'ma tell the truth. On the road to success, make your journey bulletproof. I'ma do me, man, you better do you. Recognize your worth, nigga, this is living proof. Man, I ain't got a lie, dog, I'ma tell the truth. On the road to success, make your journey bulletproof. Make your journey bulletproof.
Yo. Let's see here, we got that going there. Now let's go ahead and cut off YouTube real quick.
Working across teams is tough, but Asana...
That's what I was trying to prevent. Anyway, so y'all, it's your boy Timeout, aka T Matrix, y'all. And y'all see the title. The title is True Intellect, and then versus Acceptable Intellect, right? We go get deep, man. It's a deep one tonight. It's a deep one tonight, you know. And in this conversation, there are no right or wrong answers, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? But this is gonna be deep. This gonna be deep right here, man. This gonna be deep. Let me take off the shades, cause this is gonna be deep right here. So, I know you looking like true intellect, acceptable intellect. What is he talking about? All right. I'm gonna start throwing out some scenarios to you, so that you can gain an understanding of where I'm coming from with true intellect and acceptable intellect. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. First example. And like I said, there's no right or wrong answers, allegedly, in what I'm about to say. But you know, people believe what they choose to believe. They believe what resonates with the life that they have lived, that the life that they have chosen to live. They believe what resonates with them. You know what I'm saying? And that might not be what everybody else has agreed upon to accept for their life. So, first scenario. All right, 1969, the moon landing, right? The moon, like the first time we went to the moon, right? So, it is acceptable intellect that a good majority of people believe that the United States had a rocket that left Earth, went to the moon, landed on the moon, left the moon, and went back to Earth. That's acceptable intellect, right? Because it's something that's agreed upon by amongst a bunch of different people. They believe it because during that time frame, they saw things that led them to believe that that is something that actually happened, right? Okay, acceptable intellect. True intellect. When you were born, you came from your mother. That's true. That's true intellect. Because the only way that someone is brought into this world is through a female, through a female that's gotten pregnant and that's delivered, So that's true. Unless it's any craziness, it's a lot of craziness out there, It's a lot of crazy, what's the word? Conspiracy theorists, conspiracies, whatever, talking about cloning and talking about, that all of that sort of jazz, everything that has to do with cloning, from the top to the bottom, I'll let you use your imagination on that. So, but anyway, acceptable intellect, man went to the moon, came back to Earth. Buzz Aldrin, right? So, true intellect, everybody's born, they had a mother. That's true intellect. All right, we have this thing called civil. I don't want to butcher the word. Civil. Oh man, I'm having a brain fart. But basically, what it is where you have two or more people. They agree upon something, to destroy another person, right? These two people agree upon something in order to ruin the reputation of another person, right? Now, in that instance, you can almost argue that at the time those two people, whatever they're agreeing upon, is acceptable intellect, because they chose to accept whatever it is that they're agreeing upon, and they're using that to ruin whatever. You ruin somebody else's reputation. You know what I'm saying? So, I said all of that to say this, man. It is 2026, and I know a lot of people always say it's 2026, man. There ain't nobody going for that stuff. A lot of people use that, they say 2026 as, man, yeah, man, you know, but I'm like, when I say this, I'm saying it true to the core. I'm saying, look, y'all, enough time has passed to where we as a people need to start thinking, doing critical thinking for ourselves. Critical thinking for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And we should not just accept the things that we were told. All right, let me give you some more examples to go by. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you some more examples to go by. All right, when you were a kid, when you were a child, you was told about Santa Claus, right? And Santa Claus was supposed to be this white man in a red suit, you know, cheery with red cheeks or whatever, like pinkish cheeks or whatever. He's supposed to get presents for all the little good boys and girls all over the world, you know. You were told that when you were young, right? You know, and at a young age, it was amongst your peers at a young age, it was acceptable intellect to believe that Santa Claus was real. You know what I'm saying? And the Easter Bunny. That's another thing. It was acceptable intellect to believe that the Easter Bunny was real. You know what I'm saying? And the Tooth Fairy. It was acceptable intellect to believe that the Tooth Fairy was real. I'm talking about amongst your peers at a young age, right? You chose to believe those things because they were coming from adult figures, right? They were coming from your peers that were older than you telling you these things, so you believed it. But then what happened, a miraculous thing happened as you grew up in age. You realized and you came to the conclusion that Santa Claus is not real. The Easter Bunny is not real. The Tooth Fairy is not real. And I don't know about y'all, but like whenever somebody tells you something and you believe it, and then when you find out it's not real, it's almost like it's a shock. It's a shock. What happens is you like, oh man, and you know, if your parents were delicate enough, with the way that they raised you, what you did is internally you said, oh man, that's not, oh dang, you know. But then you instantly adjusted and you said, okay, all right, now I know, all right, cool, you know. So you made that adjustment. It was a smooth transition. All right, what happens in your adulthood when you grew up believing something and then you find out what you were told is not true? In your adulthood, what happens is you're like, oh man, You mean if they lied to me, it's gonna make you pissed. You gonna get pissed off. You gonna be mad. You gonna be angry. You could be like, man, if they lied to me about that, what else did they lie to me about? You know, and that's where we're at when we get to true intellect and acceptable intellect. You know what I'm saying? What's been socially agreed upon amongst a group of people to believe what is true versus what is not true. You know what I'm saying? You believe that, hey, oh man, that actually, like some people, like, and this is all I'm saying allegedly. I'm gonna drown your ears off with allegedly. So allegedly, we went to the moon. This is during the time when we didn't have, we had very limited technology. The cars that we had were nothing like the cars from that we have now at our availability. There's nothing like that now. Back then, our phone, I think we had rotary phones. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we had limited technology, and with that limited technology, we went to the moon. We left the Earth's atmosphere. We broke past the Van Allen belt, allegedly, and we navigated to the moon in outer space. We actually made it there to the moon. We landed, and when we landed, we had video proof of the landing. And allegedly, and our astronauts got out and walked over the surface of the moon, bounced around. We took American flag and planted the American flag on the moon, and boom, they got back in, and then we left. We launched and left, and we left the cameras there so that the cameras can record us leaving. And not only that, we were able to show all of this in real time, allegedly. That's acceptable intellect. It's been agreed upon by a number of people because people believe that they saw it. If they saw it, it was real, it happened. That's acceptable intellect. True intellect says that doesn't really sound feasible to me. That's what true intellect says. When you have started using your cognitive mind and you started breaking things down in a acceptable in a way that you can understand it for that time frame, your true intellect would fight against everything in that scenario, because you like, how in the world we was able to do that? We wasn't able to do nothing else back then, you know. Like I said, all of this allegedly. I'm just trying to give you some food for thought, and I don't have no personal grief, no personal beefs with NASA or whatever, or the government or whatever, you know. This is just me giving you a thought exercise. So let's dig a little bit deeper. All right. Now, all of this allegedly, right? So here we go. We're in the year 2026. 2026. So, and if you know anything about history, you know that they have something called AD, which is Anno Domini, and then you have BC, which is before Christ, or it means something else. I forgot the other thing what it means, but it's another Domini. But so if you know about history, then basically, allegedly, this world is about what I think they say it's supposed to be. At one time, it was acceptable to believe that the world, as we know it, was about 5,000 years old. At one time, that was acceptable intellect. But then, as time went on and we started excavating, and they start finding all of these different bones from these big beasts that were in the ground, then they said, okay, well, the world has to be older than that, and to this date, I don't think nobody has updated the books. Nobody has updated the books, like the things that we were taught in high school and and going forth. Nobody has really updated the knowledge. Which makes me think. So, we as a people are just supposed to accept the knowledge that was given to us from the schools, and then we leave and we graduate the schools, and then the knowledge information changes and they add more information to that, and then we are still at the age where we done grew out of school, we done passed, and now we have jobs, but all the information that we learned, like, it's not even useful to us. Like, what is that about? What is that about? That's just a little side nugget, that I want to throw in there, man, because I sit and I think about stuff like this. This is the stuff that I think about. And we talking about, he said, I don't want nobody. No, man, that ain't true, man. That ain't true. Nah, man, I want you on the live, man. I want you on the live. I just thought it was going to send out the notifications or whatever, man. But yeah, I'm up here talking about true intellect and acceptable intellect, man. And I'm just going through. I know, man. I'm just sitting here going through, man. Just a deep conversation, man. Like, because we go to school and we learn all of this stuff in school, and then we graduate, and now we're in the real world, and then the information gets changed, and then we still got to go through the real world without the new information. It's like at that point, it's up to us to find the new information. Which, if you ran a poll and you said, okay, how many people after graduating high school or college, how many people after graduating high school or college are going to still devote their life to trying to learn as much as they can learn? I'd say that it would be if I had, and this is just my thought process. I say that out of 100% of the people that graduate high school and college, for them to continue, like the percentage of people that will keep devoting their life to learning, I say that it would probably be, I'll say 15%. That's probably too much. I'll say it's probably, but just off the top of my head, a random number, I'll say 15% of people, people that were really involved in learning information and people that want to challenge themselves, whatever. I'll say about 15% of those people do that. That other what's that? 85%. Yeah, that other 85% is going to be a part of the working class, and they just it's just going to be all right. They're going to try to follow the American dream, which is I'm going to get a job, I'm going to get a wife, I'm going to get a car, I'm going to have some kids, I'm going to do this, do that, or whatever. I'll vacation whenever I can vacation, and I'll work until once I get to the age of retirement, I'll retire. And that's a whole nother can of worms, because they talking about people that are that people that are my age are not going to be able to get the money that they supposed to get to retire when they retire. So that's a whole nother can of worms, or whatever. But basically, I said all of that to say that why don't they update, why don't we have a system to where we can update the false information that we were taught, and be like, look, that what they said about this is not true. We just needed to come back, and we need to let y'all know this ain't true, and we've learned different since this point. You know what I'm saying? Why is there such a disconnect when it comes to us knowing what we supposed to know? You think about some a place like China. Okay, them people in China, man, they work ethic for information is on another level. Their work ethic is on another level when it comes to knowledge and the things that they know. And then you look at us over here, and and we're supposed to be the place, the land of the free, America, the land of the free, where everybody wants to come, where everybody has a chance to become somebody, or whatever. I don't know, man. It's just I sit and I think about stuff. But back to the true intellect and acceptable intellect. I'm gonna give you another example of that. And I already know people might come for me and be like, man, what in the world is he talking about? I'm just using my mind to let me see. He said, I think China just get it out for yeah, I think so too. I think they do, man. They go hard in the paint, man. Shout out to China, not no traitor shit to the American government or whatever. Don't die, I'm just giving credit where credit is due, so don't come for me, government agents and stuff like that. It's not that kind of party, All right, back to the acceptable intelligence and true acceptable intellect and true intellect. All right, I was sitting back, and this has been years ago. I was sitting back thinking to myself, right? And I was thinking about life and death. And I was thinking, and I was like, I said, okay. I said, I was born supposedly on November 27th, 1979. Right? That was my born day. That's the day that I was born. Okay. And from that time to now, I'm whatever age, 46, right? So, all right. I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, dang. I was like, I said, is it intelligent for me to believe that this is my first time coming here to Earth? Being born and being this, living. I said, is it an intelligent thought to believe that this is my first time coming here? That's what I was sitting there thinking. And the more I sit and I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and I said it would be very unintelligent of me to believe that this is my first time coming here. You know, because you have all of the billions of people in this world. You know that like people that live and they died, and new people are born, and I was like, dang, I said I was sitting there thinking, I was like, I said it's unintelligent of me to believe that this is my first time being here. And then I started thinking, and I was like, okay, I said, so if this is not my first time being here, then why can't I remember any other times before that? And that was the next question. And this is just thought exercises that I run through. And I said, well, evidently something happened that wiped my memory as I was coming back. And I was sitting in, and then when I sit down, I thought about this, and this is all just me in my own mind trying to ration out life and being here in this experience. That's all it was. And I said, okay, well, so something wiped my memory to where I can't remember the things that I needed to remember from the previous times of being here. And then I said, well, is there anything in any books that can confirm any of this information? Then I start digging, and I start running across so much material that's inside books where people talk about the earth, and the earth being like a breeding ground, it being an in-between place, you know, and it was talking about being born, and you have a choice. When you have a choice when you're being born, like a lot of it's a lot of things, a lot of memories that I have, like of with different people. Like I remember my sister, she used to always say that and I think she was quoting Tupac actually. Is Tupac the one who said, I was given this world, I didn't make it? I don't know if did Tupac say that? I think Tupac said that. But she used to always say that, right? And I was like, and so which made me think, I was like, okay, so that means that we didn't have no say so in the matter. But then when I read these books, the books were saying, okay, we had a choice. We chose exactly the mother that we wanted. We chose everything about the life that we wanted. We had the choice. But the thing is, after we made the choice, that's when the wiping of the mind took place, and then boom, now we're here, and our one sole job is to do whatever it is that we were supposed to do. But we have to remember, we have to recall and stay in our purpose to get back to whatever that is. And so, and these are the things that I was running across just in the different books that I was reading. He said, keep your head up. So no, you have to, man. That wasn't keep your head up. Yeah, you right. I was gifted this world. I didn't make. Yeah, sure enough. So, man, like when I ran across all of this information, it changed my mind to the point. So I was like, you know what, man? I said, you gotta question everything, you know. And then I grew up in a Christian household, you know. Like we went to church ridiculously, you know. I went to church on my mom's side of the family. That was St. John's Baptist Church in Bamberg, South Carolina. I remember going to those church services, and I remember, matter of fact, I remember the first time that I got saved was there. But then the crazy thing about it was, one thing that happened, I saw something that happened, and it made me change my mind about a lot of things that I had believed. Like when paying tithes and offerings, and this is before I was enlightened on what tithes and offerings was. I'm talking about a little kid, probably about 7, 8 years old or whatever. I wanted to make sure that I paid my $5. And so they had took the offering up, and I didn't get a chance to put my $5 in because we got there to church late. And I felt so bad about it, man. I felt so bad about it. I'm telling y'all, man. Little 7-year, 8-year-old me was feeling, I was tough. I was feeling bad about that thing. And my mama, she seen that I felt so bad about it. She said, before we leave, she said, I'm gonna take you back here to the preacher, so you can give him the $5, right? And so I was like, all right, cool. So before we left the service, we went to the side of the building, and she knocked on the preacher's door or whatever. He came out, and she said, my son wanted to make sure that he paid his tithe. So I gave him the $5. He looked at me. He said, man, that's all right, man. And so he took the $5 and he put it in his pocket. And I was like, hold up. When he put the $5 in his pocket, I was like, he wasn't supposed to put the $5 in his pocket. He's supposed to take the $5 and go put it with the rest of the money, And when something as simple, something as small as that, I said, man, I don't know about this. Like, just that quick, something as simple as that. Now, he could have been taking that $5. He could have just put the $5 in his pocket, and he probably could have went in there and put it with the rest of the money to be tallied, to do whatever could have been done. But in that moment, that's not what my mind was telling me. So, and like I said, I ain't got nothing against these people, man. He might have been on the up and up, but that one incident made me start to question that, because it created just the slightest bit of doubt for me to start thinking, I don't know about this, And then from that point, this is early in my church going days or whatever. Then my father, my pops was wild, for lack of a better word. People say that this is before he got saved, whatever. He was a regular dude. Just doing whatever, and like, he never did nothing crazy in front of me or whatever, but I remember that part of, I remember he had a good time wherever he went, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, but then the miraculous thing happened is my pops, he got saved, and then I start seeing the slow change in his life, and it was a definite difference of from before to after. And I was like, and I saw that, and I was like, that's interesting. I said, we used to ride down the road, like when he come pick me up from Bamberg, and we ride back to up here to Lancaster. He used to play Power 98, whatever the radio stations is, all the jamming music or whatever. He used to play all of that stuff. But then the change came to where he started playing nothing but gospel music. And what he did, like, the change was so gradual, because he, like, when he pick us up, he'll let 97.9 play a little bit, but then halfway down the road, he'd be like, all right, now I'm gonna play my music. And I'll be like, okay. I can't tell him what to do. He put on the gospel music, and so let you listen to your music or whatever. Then he put on the gospel music, and that was a cycle until eventually the cycle became it's just straight gospel music. So I watched a definite change in his life, which made me go back to reevaluate what I was originally the path that I originally was on, from the church that I was going down in Bamberg. So, but I'm saying all of this to say that it's very interesting how like the different things that we see in how our life develops or whatever. Like we see a lot of things that we see cause us to think about things differently and cause us to reevaluate things differently. For me, one thing that I noticed is once I got in the church with my pops or whatever, and then they started preaching on the tithes and offerings, and then I started hearing all the message. You're cursed with a curse. Bring ye all the tithes to the storehouse, so there'll be meat in my house. And prove me now, said the Lord their host, that I will not pour you out a blessing that it won't be room enough to receive, or whatever. So then you had the curse with a curse one. That's in Malachi. So I used to hear that, and I was like, dang, man. I was like, so if we don't pay these tithes and offers, God go curse us. And I was like, dang, man. Well, you don't want to get no curse from God. I was like, of all people to get a curse from, you will get a curse from the big man himself? Hell no. You don't want that. So learning that little bit of information, not looking at no outside books, because they told us, they said the only book you're supposed to look from is the Bible. You ain't supposed to look at no outside books, because they said outside books will pollute your mind with with other stuff, and have you questioning God. So anyway, then I got to the age to where I was like, I said I need to start reading this book for myself. Started reading the book for myself and started finding a lot of inconsistencies on things that I thought was just straight up concrete. And when you start finding them inconsistencies, man, it makes you it makes you reevaluate things, man. It makes you reevaluate stuff. And one thing was that whole tithes and offerings thing, man. When I found out the truth about that was a mind blower. I was like, man, so you mean to tell me that message wasn't even for me? Because really and truthfully, it wasn't. Like the whole tithes and offerings, that message in Malachi, that God was giving that, he was telling that about being cursed with a curse to the not the laity, but to the priest and the preachers and the deacons, and to like the household of faith, the people that are the workers in the church, which is that's going from the preacher to like anybody who is speaking in front of people. Hold on one second, let me go get my phone. Where's that TikTok? Yo.
The fact that DistroKid is selling is a really bad sign.
Hey, that's interesting. You see what I'm saying? I just turned on the phone and doggone, that's the first thing, the music attorney law firm lawyer lady, she was talking about the exact same thing that I was talking about a couple of days ago about it was actually, what day was that? I can't remember. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to check that out, Timeout. I'm gonna have to check that out. But yeah, so that whole tithes and offering thing, man, it was interesting because God was talking to the priest and the preachers. He wasn't talking to the laity. He wasn't talking to the congregation. But the preachers and the priests, it's almost like he knew that jump was gonna happen. Like, because the preachers and the priests took the message that God gave them, and they turned around and they told that message to the people. and then they twisted it and perverted it, and they made it about money when the whole time it was never about money. But it's crazy, like, but I don't want to get. I ain't gonna get too far from the original conversation. We talking about true intellect versus acceptable intellect. All right, acceptable intellect. Here we go. If you don't pay your tithes and offerings, God is going to curse you. That's acceptable intellect, meaning that it's agreed upon amongst a group of Christians, I'll say so-called Christians, that if you don't pay your tithes and offerings, God can curse you. That's agreed upon. True intellect, God was not talking to the congregation. He was talking to the priest and the preachers and the ministers. You see what I'm saying? So it's real easy to fall on the wrong side of the intellect, and that also deals with perception. It also deals with your perception, and it also deals with lack of knowledge. Like even in the Bible, it says, "In all you're getting, get understanding." That's what, like, so, and so how can you get understanding within all of your getting if you don't have all of the information in front of you? You can't just devote all of your time and energy into one book. That one book is not going to give you the broad perspective that you really need, that full vision. So that's all I wanted to say with that. Just giving different scenarios and examples of true intellect versus acceptable intellect. All right. Let me see if I can give another example of true intellect versus acceptable intellect. Here we go. I got another one. Cleanliness is next to godliness. That's an acceptable intellect that's been agreed upon throughout a lot of the church circuits and people that are in church, because that's something that was always said. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Okay, true intellect, that is nowhere in the Bible. That verse is nowhere in the Bible. Nowhere in the Bible. You won't find it. You will not find it. Cleanliness, and like, the only way you can find that is if they updated some Bibles to add it in there. But it is not in the Bible. So that's another thing. Like, that's why it's a clear difference between acceptable intellect a true intellect and acceptable intellect. Acceptable intellect is the things that people have agreed upon to believe that it's true. They believe it and they accept it as true. But true intellect says something totally different. It says something totally different. I gave the scenario earlier about Santa Claus. Like growing up, we told about Santa Claus, and as children amongst our peers, it was an acceptable intellect to believe that Santa Claus was real. As children, it was an acceptable intellect to believe that the Tooth Fairy was real. As children, it was acceptable to believe that the Easter Bunny was real. Then you grow up. Now, true intellect says Santa Claus is not real. Santa Claus did not exist. Like, we learn the real myth of where that even comes from, and when you go down that rabbit hole, finding out where Santa Claus came from, it's dark. It gets real dark. The Easter Bunny, Ishtar, that's where that came from. That came from it was one of the goddesses, Ishtar. She was the goddess of fertility. Christians versus Muslim. That's a whole, that's another one. That's another one. That's a whole nother one right there. Like, we can go back and forth on that one all day. It's very enlightening, man. That's why it really pays us. It really pays us to do research and to look into these things, so we don't fall on the acceptable intellect, and we fall on the true intellect. You know, the real intellect, the real nitty gritty. You know, that's what we want to fall on that side of the equation. So I'm gonna try to think of one more. I'm gonna play some music while I'm thinking of one more scenario. That's one more good one. Let me go back here, and I want to play something good. Yeah. Yeah. T, Matrix. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
When you go from success and the legacy strong, the third time around it's light work turning it on. It's like practicing a superpower. We learn to write in cursive, but we only use it in the needed hour. Until eventually it's cruise control. Some niggas moves get old when they under.
Yo, I had to stop it for a second. Alright, we learn to write in cursive, but we only use it in the needed hour. Okay, I ran across something that kind of was crazy. It said the only language that AI is not able to read is cursive language. Ain't that crazy? I mean, that was just something. Like, the only language that AI cannot read is cursive. They have literal people. They're hiring people who can read cursive to break this, give information to AI. I don't know now. I have not done my homework or my research on that, but I'm telling you, it's very interesting how they stopped teaching cursive in schools. Like, it'll almost make you think, like, did they see AI coming, and did they know that AI had a weakness to where it couldn't read cursive, so they took it out of the curriculum so that people would stop using it, like almost basically trying to make it fade away and die away. I still know how to write in cursive, and I still can read cursive, you know. But it's interesting. It is very interesting that I found out that AI cannot read cursive. That was interesting to me. That just blew my mind. But anyway, I interrupted this song. Let me go back to it. Let me see. It won't let me go back to it. Will it? Yeah. T, Matrix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you go from success and the legacy strong, the third time around it's light work turning it on. It's like practicing a superpower. We learn to write in cursive, but we only use it in the needed hour. Until eventually it's cruise control. Some niggas moves get old. When they under pressure, then they start to fold. I keep my pen cold like nitroglycerin. It ain't never gotta be sweet, but it's in the air like cinnamon. I double down while they closing shop. The way I speed up the hustle, they compare it to a broken watch. In other words, they can never stop time. And the second that they do, that's the second that rewinds. Light work. Like in cruise control going down the hill, you can tell the way my mic work. Light spurts, push the pedal to the floor, I should give them even more till the mic hurts. Light work, like in cruise control going down the hill, you can tell the way my mic work. Light spurts, push the pedal to the floor, I should give them even more till the mic hurts. I'm in my secret chamber like I'm Henry Danger. Out here cooking up these recipes for perfect strangers. It don't matter who the target for, the beat is aimless. Niggas that get it on the block or niggas that's famous. Just listen to it as you ride along. The whole album dopamine and we only on the intro song. They pay attention when the chef is in the kitchen. These pots and pans are rattling, I'm cooking something vicious. Stove on 400, I'ma give them what they wanted. I'm a connoisseur to the sober and the blunted. While I make maneuvers and the beat it starts to plummet, I'ma tell them that it's easy, a field goal punt it.
Light work. Like in cruise control, going down the hill, you can tell the way my mic work. Woo! Light spurts. Push the pedal to the floor, I should give them even more till the mic hurts. Light work. And that's the intro. That's the intro to the free album. That's the intro to the free album that only the exclusive members who download the iconic legacy experience, they get that right there. They get that on the free album. That's light work. That's the intro song, y'all. The whole album, Dopamine. And we only on the intro song. Y'all, if you look up what dopamine is, y'all be like, oh man. But anyway, so back to what I was saying about giving you, and I wanted to give you one more scenario before I go ahead and cut and close the show out, man. And the scenario I was thinking, man, I had it in my head, and then, I had it in my head, but then that cursive line came out, it popped out at me, and I was like, man, that's interesting. Oh, what was the scenario, man? What was the scenario? I can't think of it. I had it in my head. Had it locked in place, and then it just left me. But okay, I'll go with this one. And this is one that it's been so many arguments online dealing with this one right here. Okay, now this is gonna be different. It's gonna be different because, all right, we go do it like this. Okay, the earth, right? It's socially acceptable. Social intellect. It's acceptable intellect. It's a large mass of people. Ooh, it's heaven versus hell one. Heaven versus hell. That's a good one. That's a good one too. That's a good one. Let's rock with that one. Matter of fact, we could go with that one. Let's go with that one. Okay, so all right, heaven as we believe and as we know it from a Bible perspective. All right, we think that from the things that we've gathered from the Bible, we think that heaven is this mystical place that's nowhere near us. That's nowhere near us, that we have to pass away, we have to expire to get there, right? We believe heavens to be it's like the streets is supposed to be paved with gold. That's one thing. That's one description of heaven. Another thing is, whenever you see your loved ones, you're not going to look at them as that was, like, say for instance, if a man was married to a woman and then the woman passes away and then the man ends up passing away later, the man arrives to heaven. According to the Bible, the man is not going to look at the woman as that was my wife from when I was on earth. He's going to look at her as that's a close dear friend of mine. According to what the Bible says, talking about heaven. Also, there's no sun in heaven, because the glory of God is supposed to create all the light that is needed in heaven, and that's another one. Those are different descriptions of heaven, right? Now, has anybody ever been to heaven to see it? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have the NDEs, near death experiences. It's a lot of people that have had near-death experiences that said that heaven is real, that they've seen it, and all of this right here or whatever. But it like now acceptable intellect would say, okay, if it's that many people talking about it, it has to be a real thing. Now, let's look at it from the side of somebody who doesn't subscribe to those things, to the Bible or all of that stuff. Somebody who doesn't subscribe to that, when they think of heaven, they're gonna think of heaven as, okay, it's just the clouds. It's just as far up in the air as we can see and beyond. You know, that's what they're going to think of heavens. They're not going to perceive it the same way. Now, hell. Let's get into hell. Hell that's a real easy one, because it is a large mass of people that have accepted that hell is supposed to be this place of fire and brimstone and constant turmoil and all of that or whatever. So it's been agreed upon by a lot of people that that's what hell is. Now, to somebody who doesn't subscribe to that, they would believe that hell. Well, I'm gonna speak on what I believe. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say that I think that the hell is the experience that we experience on earth. I believe that is what hell is, because if you think about it, you're born into a world. When you're born into the world, you like from a certain age, from the age of birth to the age that you're able to speak your first words, you have to have somebody to take care of you, which is your mother or your father. They're taking care of you. They're doing all of the things. You know, there's so much stuff like from that in that little bit of time frame. They're basically creating an imprint on or an impression on your life from all of that point. And then when you reach a certain age, you're thrown out into the world, and you expected to perform and to do all these tasks or whatever, you know, stuff that you didn't ask for, you know, so to speak. But even though the past conversation we just had a few minutes ago, while I was telling you about the books that I read that says we did ask for it. But anyway, not to be conflicting opinions. Basically, heaven versus hell. Alright, I'm gonna give my opinion. This is my opinion on the different things that I have read, and I'm gonna give you this opinion. This is not for everybody to just take it and run with it, because I don't want to be the cause of whatever y'all whatever the people may be thinking. You know what I'm saying? But this is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. All right. If God is the same today, yesterday, and forever, that means God is never changing. That means he never changed. That means he does not change his mind. When his mind is made up, it's made up. Right? So, that being said, alright, do I believe that hell is an actual place? I'm going to say I don't believe that hell is an actual place. I think that hell was created to put fear in us, to make us fear and to make us be easily controlled. I believe that hell does not exist. Now would I say that heaven exists? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say, you know what? Let me clear it up like this. Let me clear it up. I'm gonna backtrack on the hell doesn't exist. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say that I believe that when a person expires, when a person dies, I believe that there is an afterlife of some form, and I don't believe that when we're talking about this afterlife, I think we're talking about something that can't be described simply as heaven versus hell. This is just my opinion, because I believe that hell could be whatever you perceive it to be. Meaning, if a person expires and that person feels within themselves that they were a bad person and they do not deserve to go to heaven, then in that moment, see, in death, in the moment of death, your mind becomes law. Your mind has always been powerful, but in the moment of death, there's no more physical body. So all there is consciousness. All there is consciousness. So if a person expires, and then they believe within them that, oh man, I was not a good person. I was not good. And then you have all of the stuff that preachers saying, you didn't go to church, you didn't tithe an offering, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. You go bust hell wide open. You have all of that in your head, because you've accepted it. So when that person expires, they create their own hellish situation. You know what I'm saying? They create it themselves within their mind. Basically, you're locked in your own mental environment, and you've created this whole mental environment of what you believe hell to be, and you have locked yourself there. Now, if a person who doesn't believe in heaven or hell, they expire, all right, their mind is going to be on something totally different when they pass away. Their mind is going to be on, man, what is out here? Like, their mind might be completely open, and in that sense, who knows what they're going to see when they pass away, when they expire? Who knows? Like, they could they can envision themselves traveling to different planets or whatever, or whatever. Like, who knows? Who knows? Like, it's completely unlimited. You know what I'm saying? So the whole concept of heaven and hell, to me, this, like I said, this is my opinion. The whole concept of heaven and hell, to me, is too simple. It's too simple. It's too simple. And to piggyback on what I was saying about God being the same today, yesterday, and forever. All right, let's get into that. All right, according to the Bible, in some verses, it says, in order for you to be saved, you have to accept Jesus as your personal Savior, right? And you have to believe in Jesus. And you'll be saved. And then when you die, you go to heaven, right? Those are mainly in the New Testament. Now, in the Old Testament, in order for people to be saved, they had to do a whole lot more. They had to doggone sacrifice animals. Some of them had to sacrifice their children. They had to do a whole lot in the Old Testament. So, to go back to my original statement, if God is the same today, yesterday, and forever, and he never changes his mind, which one is true? Which one is true? Should we go back to the sacrificing animals and all of that, and burning lots and all of that crazy stuff, so sacrificing children. Should we go back to that? And at the same time, should we believe in Jesus and that be good enough? You can't do both. Like either you go do one or the other. Either you go believe the old way and not believe the new way, or believe the new way and not believe the old way, because you can't do both. Now, because God never changes his mind. He never changes his mind according to the Bible. Like, that's a contradiction in itself, because he did change his mind. One time, there was one story where he basically cursed himself that he even made man. So he does change his mind. This is according to the Bible. This is according to the Bible. So these were some of the consistencies I was talking about earlier in the stories and in the different books that I've read. Like, you know, when you're brought up into church and you hear these stories, even though the preacher might be actually literally going through passage by passage talking about these stories, they're being twisted in a way to where it's supposed to be easily acceptable. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna give you this last example and then I'm gonna be gone. Okay, so all right, oh man. Oh man. Yes, there we go. Okay, so communion. That's what it is. Communion. So, all right, this is going to be a shock. Okay, with communion, we're taught to drink Jesus's blood, which is symbolic for the wine. You know, the little, like if you go to church, they give you the little red communion pack, the little red little communion cup. It's filled with wine. It has the little plastic top on it or whatever. They give you that. That's symbolic of Jesus's blood. And then they give you the little white little chip, the little soft little white little chip. That's symbolic of Jesus's flesh. So symbolically, we're supposed to drink Jesus's blood and eat Jesus's flesh. And this is a thing that we do during communion. All right. Now, in the retrospect of church going and church believing and Christian mentality, we sit and we look at that like, oh man, this is spiritual. This is so spiritual. Like, this is a very spiritual practice. Now, on the other side of that, let's look at the other side of that. Okay, if you are drinking blood and eating flesh, that sounds like a vampire. That sounds like what a vampire is going to do. That sounds real crazy. It sounds real crazy. And I know, boy, if it's any Christians that come up on this live, they go tear me up, and it's all good, because I'm here for the smoke, because I am very learned and scholar. So and I'm just giving you the news. Like, I haven't really even dived into like I want to. I'm just giving you the news. But that's like, if what you're doing is symbolically drinking blood and eating flesh, symbolically, that's very disturbing. That's very disturbing. But here's another thing that we were taught in churches. Like, we was taught that we shouldn't be practicing anything that has to deal with voodoo and all kinds of stuff, but yet and still we're doing a spiritual ritual to where we're symbolically eating blood, drinking blood, and eating flesh. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just diabolical. That's very diabolical. Like, so that goes back to the acceptable intellect. The acceptable intellect of that scenario is which is basically a group of church theologians and people in the Bible, people that follow the Bible, have socially agreed that, okay, this is a spiritual practice for us to practice communion. On the intellect side of it, the true intellect side, we look at that like, if you're doing something that's symbolic to eating flesh and drinking blood, why? Like, you know, like that looks crazy. So just some food for thought, man. You know, that's all it is. But yeah, it's your boy Timeout, aka T Matrix, man. I just wanted to give y'all something to think about real quick. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and play this last song, and we gonna be out, man. You know, let me see here. Let's go find a good song, man. What's a good song? Alright, let's see here. What's a good song? I'm gonna go, if they don't, yeah, let's play that. Yeah, it's your boy Time, man. Yo, when you greater than the things around you, sometimes you just gotta make a jump. I could fly high, I don't even need the wings. Tell them bye-bye, leap off the ground with a spring. The ones I left behind, I could watch them from the sky. A different frequency becomes the moment that you try. New identity, unrecognizable. Past in my rear view, competition sizable. Walk with the legends every time I view an obstacle. Birthright intact, opinions are diabolical. Ignoring everything that isn't serving my purpose, it's worthless to take the advice of a fool. And now that I rise, renewing my own vision, forging my own path while I'm breaking all the rules. This is legacy. No way I ever let him get ahead of me. In the kitchen while I'm cooking up a recipe. My adrenaline can outrun methamphetamine. Mixed with ketamine, way ahead of the curve. I'm never looking behind. Each step that I'm going to take, 3 steps ahead of my mind. Unyielding my path, I'm breaking every mold. With fire in my heart and the courage of my soul. Conquering every challenge and rising above the fray.